What is up, YouTube? We're back with episode 3. As you can tell, NFL's kicked off. We are heavy NFL today. There's going to be a little college football at the end. Just kind of a lackluster weekend for any notable games to talk about. I got a couple I'll talk about, but those are going to be at the end. We're going to start with covering what happened last night during the Thursday night game, and then go through the picks for Sunday and tonight, Friday night. So, first things first, Cowboys Eagles. We got that right. Picked the Eagles 24-20. Kind of an ugly game in the second half, but before even the game started, let's talk about Jalen Carter. What are we doing? 6 seconds in, they're helping an injured player during the kickoff, and we're just spitting on people, straight up spitting on people, and not just anybody. Dak Prescott, the starting quarterback for the opposing team you're playing, this got to be one of the most idiotic things I've seen. And you're supposed to be regarded as one of the best players on that team, and that's how you are. But who would have thought a Georgia player being undisciplined? Um, but outside of that, Cowboys kind of showed out good early, starting out. First two drives, two touchdowns back to back. Eagles responding well though. It was a big night for Jalen Hurts and Javonte Williams fantasy owners. Jalen Hurts just running all over the place, scoring two touchdowns. Javonte Williams finding the lane, getting two touchdowns as well. So it was for them. It was a great night. Kind of lackluster through the air for the Eagles. Really, I mean, intermediate throws. They had the one deep bomb to Jahan Dotson, but outside of that, I mean, not really a great showing, especially when your star receiver AJ Brown has one catch for 8 yards, and that's in the fourth quarter with a minute left in the game to help convert a first down. I mean, it was a crucial catch, but I feel like you gotta give him the ball earlier for sure. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens had good games until fourth quarter when CD had a couple drops. I mean, he had four, but I feel like it was a little uncharacteristic of him. I don't think he'll do that again. Um, he took it to heart for sure post game, so I'm expecting that to be cleaned up. Eagles defense still looks solid. There were a couple times undisciplined, unnecessary penalties. Gave Cowboys free first downs, free yards. So got to clean that up a little bit. But it's still week one. These things are going to happen. I still think the Eagles are really good. I think the Cowboys are all right. I think they'll shock people for sure, but it's still early. So we got to kind of wait and see what's going to happen there. But ultimately, it was a very entertaining game until that lightning delay at like almost 11 o'clock for like an hour. So it's like you gotta be committed to stay up and finish that on a Thursday night too. So that was tough, but ultimately Eagles impress. Cowboys have some work to do, but Dak actually looked pretty good for the most part. So I think coming off that injury, they said he got in better shape. You can tell. So excited to see how he'll be able to lead them in the future. I thought he, especially in the first half, really sharp, really precise. He knew where he was going with the ball. He made a couple plays, got past a couple defenders, rolled out, made some plays. He looked good. He looked good. That I'm not a big Cowboys fan, but Dak is a guy I can root for. He's just a likable guy. So, that being said, we are jumping to tonight's game, 8 o'clock in Brazil. We got Chiefs and Chargers. We love a division matchup. We love division matchups to start the year. Just first game of the year, be like, yeah, this could determine, who wins your division. Let's go ahead and throw it at the beginning, and then you'll probably play each other again at the end of the year. You won't see each other for like 4 months. Chiefs Chargers. I'm interested to see how Jim Harbaugh and that offense is going to deal with Rashawn Slater out yet again. Um, Joe Alt might be able to slide into that role and play good, but it's ultimately there's still going to be a weak point on that offensive line. Sorry if I keep looking over here. I didn't take my notebook to work, so I got all my notes written on my phone. So I'm trying to just keep up with it. Um, there's going to be a major piece of that offensive line missing. I saw Mekhi Beckham is reported as questionable with an illness, so if they're missing him, It's really going to put another damper into this offensive line unit for sure, especially for a team that likes to run the ball heavy. That's going to take a big toll. And Chiefs' defensive line is pretty good. You still got Karloftis. You still got Chris Jones. I mean, Spagnola's calling that defense. You know they're dialing up pressures for run and pass. So it's going to be interesting how they deal with it. And because of that, I'm wondering how effective the run game's going to be between Najee Harris and Marion Hampton, the rookie from North Carolina. I don't know how much Najee's going to play tonight. They said he'll play, but it sounds like Hampton's going to get more carries. So I don't know if it's going to be like we're going to feed Hampton and let Najee kind of, be the offset back, or if we're going to let Najee still get a bulk of carries, put Hampton in just so they can both get a feel for the game. But it will be it's going to be an interesting approach. I think Hampton has a chance to earn a starting job this week if Najee's not going to play a whole lot. If he goes out there and plays good and is effective and doesn't turn the ball over, there's a real shot that Harbaugh's going to give him more nods, more touches, so on and so forth. Plus, he's younger. He's going to be cheaper for the next couple years. Um, but if that run game's not working, I'm worried about their pass game for the Chargers because outside of like McConkey, who can you really trust? I don't trust Quentin Johnson. I don't know what Keenan Allen's going to look like either. So I don't know where Justin Herbert's going to go with the ball. But if they can run the ball, get the play action going, I think there's a good chance that they get some open looks to some guys that are able to make plays. Um, Especially in what might be, I feel like Keenan Allen's last year. I mean, he's getting up there in age. He's not as healthy as he used to be. Still pretty good when he plays, but this may be last little push. So maybe he's gonna play his tail off, and we're gonna see what happens. But on the other side, may also be their last year. Mahomes and Kelsey. Obviously Kelsey just got engaged to Taylor Swift, so rumors are going around. This may be his last year. He may be hanging it up after this, starting his new endeavors. Which, if so be it, so be it. Are they going to be better than what they were to start the year last year? Last year, if anybody remembers, they got off to a really, really slow start. I mean, Kelsey looked like not even the best tight end on the team, let alone in the league. So, but they're saying, you know, reports are he lost weight. He's in better shape than he was last year. So maybe that'll be helpful early on, keeping his body right, keeping his mind right, ready for the season. And Chiefs are going to need it. Chiefs are going to need it because Pacheco's coming off an injury. They're going to be without Rashee Rice to start the year for the first 6 games. He's suspended. So you got Xavier Worthy. You got. Damn, I'm blanking on who the other. They got Kelsey. They still got Noah Gray. They got Xavier Worthy. They got Hollywood Brown. So, I mean, they got some guys, but they don't have another guy you can look to and be like, yeah, this guy can get 10 catches and be dominant. Xavier Worthy, maybe, but I have to see a little more out of him. Rice would be that guy, but between the injury last year and the suspension, he's going to be off track for a little bit. But that defense is still going to be phenomenal. Mahomes is still our top 3 quarterback in the league, so it'll be a close game, I think, for a week 1 matchup, division game, especially international. There'll be some chaos going on, but I'm going to roll with Chiefs 27-20. Just a nice little start to the year. I think at times both quarterbacks are going to look good. They normally play pretty good, so we're going to see how that goes. We got 1 o'clock on, I believe, Fox Sunday. We got the Carolina Panthers going to Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm excited for this matchup. I'm excited to see how both teams are going to look, especially how much Travis Hunter is going to play on both sides of the ball. I know they're listing him as cornerback 1 and like wide receiver 2 on the depth chart. I'm interested to see how much that really will play into a real game because I know preseason he only played defense. So I'm interested to see if he plays snaps on both sides, how many, where is he predominantly playing. I'm assuming defense because that's where they need more help. Even though you would like to think they're trying to give as much help for Trevor Lawrence as possible. It's gonna be an interesting year for the Jaguars for sure. You got Liam Conan coming in, former offense coordinator for the Bucks, who had a pretty good year. I think he's gonna bring in a lot of that system, a lot of run first, play action build, easy throws for the quarterback that opens up the passing game further down the field. I think that's what helped Baker have a really good year last year. Not undermining Baker by any means. I think Baker's really good, but to help pick up Trevor Lawrence, maybe rejuvenate Travis Etienne a little bit because I liked him coming out of college. I think he's a typical prototypical back nowadays, and he had kind of a lackluster year last year. So I think if they can get him back on track, get Trevor Lawrence back on track, they can be competitive because I don't think the defense is really that bad on paper. They got a couple holes, but I think they can be serviceable if the offense is clicking. And the offense shouldn't be, in theory, that bad. You have a former number one quarterback you're paying $200+ million to. You got two really good running backs in the backfield. You got Brian Thomas on the outside. You got some weapons that you can play around with, and you got one of the better play callers in the league as your head coach and probably OC too. So they should be better, but I'm interested to see how it's going to look Sunday. Now on the other side, obviously I'm a Panthers fan. I'm a root for my boys, but I'm gonna come at this unbiased. I think this is gonna be a year where Bryce is gonna have to make or break it. I think if he's gonna have a breakout year, it's gonna be this year. I mean, granted, I know some of the offensive line's hurt right now. Don't know how many of them are gonna play Sunday, but this is probably his best chance for weapons on offense. Second year, same OC. So, I mean, this would be his year to show Panthers fans that he's the guy. We're gonna fully commit to him, and I don't see there really being a whole lot of excuses. Granted, I need to see some better play out of receivers like Leggett, but from what T Mac showed in the preseason, I think T Mac's gonna be solid. Jalen Coker last year was really good. I'm still a fan of our tight ends, Sanders, Trimble, and Mitchell. We got Hunter Renfro on the practice squad. I'm excited to see how those are going to look, how they're going to work out. In the backfield, I think the backfield is being slept on. We got Chuba Hubbard, who missed some time last year, still had over 1,200 yards on the ground that we re-signed. We got Rico Dowdle on free agency, who also had 1,000 yards for the Cowboys last year. We got two backs that can kind of change the pace, do different things. I think the Panthers are going to have a really interesting offense that could be really good, but I'm worried about the defense. Derek Brown, when healthy, is phenomenal. J.C. Horn, when he's healthy, is phenomenal. I'm worried about the rest of the team. They got two rookies from second and third round out of the SEC coming off the edge. I'm interested to see how they're going to play. How the linebackers going to play. Trevor Wallace coming into his second year. Morig, I think, in safety spot is going to help. Charles Smith Wade, I'm excited to see. Undrafted free agent that we picked up, Thornton. Thornton looked good. I'm excited to see how all of them are going to play, but I'm still worried. Not a fan of 3-4. I don't think our team's really built for a 3-4, but I'm not making those decisions. If we don't get pass rush, it's going to be a long day, I think. But if they're playing anything like they were at times towards the end of the year last year, I think they got a really good chance. At least winning a couple more games than they did last year. I mean, 5-12. I think 7 wins isn't really out of the question. 7, maybe 8. But for this game, I got the Panthers winning 28-24. It's gonna be a close one in Jacksonville. Even though I could see it going either way, I think the teams are pretty even matched. So obviously, I'm gonna take the Panthers week 1. I gotta have a little hope, but I could see it going either way. Another 1 o'clock game. Cardinals and Saints. This is gonna be quick. There ain't much to talk about the Saints. Spencer Rattler's your starting quarterback. All you got really going for you on offense is Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, an okay offensive line, an old Taysom Hill. They got speed at receiver between Olave and Shaheed. So, but outside of that, I don't think there's a whole lot of good coming out of the Saints. That defense is old. It's only getting older. I, like Cam Jordan, this might be his last year. Um, Demario Davis, who's been a phenomenal linebacker the last couple of years, maybe his last year, at least on the team. So I'm not expecting a whole lot out of the Saints. The Cardinals, they were decent last year. When Kyler Murray was healthy, they were able to move the ball. They were decent. And I think if Murray's healthy this year, second year with Marvin Harrison, James Conner, that offense, they're definitely going to build and be better. But I like what Steichen's got going on over there. Not Steichen, that's Gannon. Steichen's on the Colts. Gannon, I like what Gannon's got going on over there. I mean, I think the Cardinals just on paper are better on both sides of the ball. So I'm taking the Cardinals 35-17 there. It's just 17 might even be a lot for the Saints score. I really am not a fan of the Saints, especially this year. Another 1 o'clock game. Dolphins in Miami. Daniel Jones is starting quarterback. Former Duke boy. I'm still kind of surprised that he got the starting job over Anthony Richardson, especially because Anthony Richardson, the Colts took in the top 5. Maybe this is another year where he can sit, learn the offense, become a quarterback, because I think he's got the physical traits, but I don't think he's ready. But I think the only way he'd actually get ready is through playing time, because he showed some flashes last year. He also showed after a third down scramble for a first that he needs a break. But we're not going to talk about that right now because that's last year. We're talking about this year. Daniel Jones at times during the preseason actually looked pretty good. He looked like he ran the offense well. It looked like he was throwing some good passes to Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce. I mean, he was slinging the rock a little bit, and he's mobile. I think if Daniel Jones is going to have a resurgence, this is probably his best bet with Shane Steichen, offensive guru. He was big in Philly, helped build that offense. Jonathan Taylor's still in the backfield. I kind of the Colts are a sneaky, like could be sneaky wild card team, depending on how Daniel Jones plays, how the rest of that offense looks. It'll be interesting. Dolphins on the other side, they don't really got a whole lot going for them on defense. I mean, they got Minka Fitzpatrick back, but I don't think he's the savior of the defense by any means. I question their depth a lot. Offensively, I question their offensive line, but they do have weapons. They still got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, A-Chain out of the backfield. They got Darren Waller, who came out of retirement. I don't know what he's going to do. That's a wild card in itself. And Tua, I actually like Tua when healthy. He gets the ball out quick. He's pretty accurate. The arm's a little questionable at times, but when healthy, he is pretty good. But that's the key. Can he stay healthy? Can he avoid the hits? Can he play smart? Protect himself? And I think that's what's going to make or break their year for sure. Is can he do those things? If he can, they got a shot to win a couple games. Maybe sneak into the wild card. It's kind of a tough division. In this game, though, I am going to take Dolphins 28-17. I just think they have more firepower. And it is in Indianapolis, not in Miami. It's a dome. I feel like the Dolphins are just built to dominate in domes or in warm weather. So I'm going to give that nod to the Dolphins. Another 1 o'clock game. We got Raiders-Patriots. We got Drake May, year 2, first year under Mike Vrabel. And we got Geno with his first start for the Raiders, having rookie Ashton Genty making his first NFL start. I'm interested to see how that Raiders offense is going to operate. I know Amari Cooper just retired after signing with the team less than 2 weeks ago. So that's going to be interesting. But they got Genty, they got Brock Bowers, they got Jacoby Myers, who all were solid last year with abysmal quarterback play. So, in theory, they should only get better with a guy like Geno under the helm. First year under Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's known for building defenses. I still think they got question marks at defense outside of the D line with Max Crosby, but I'm gonna have to see something out of that to believe it. With the Patriots, I don't know how quick of a turnaround Vrabel's gonna have in year one. We all know what he did in Tennessee. He made Tennessee almost a powerhouse within a year or two. So maybe he'll do the same thing at his alma mater of professional teams. I mean, was really good linebacker when he played for the Patriots. So he might have that type of effect. I'm excited to see what Drake May is going to do in year two. I feel like they got some slightly better weapons, a better offensive line. They just took LSU boy Will Campbell at number 4. So I'm interested to see how that offensive line is going to play. Maybe they give him a little more time. He's able to make a couple more throws. It's going to be an interesting year for the Patriots and the Raiders. This is going to be you might want to call it an ugly, grinded out game, but I got the Raiders winning this one 21-17. I think it's going to be a close game. I can see that one going either way too. Just because it's week one, there's a lot of wild card factors in play here, so it's going to be an interesting game. Next one, we have Steelers and Jets in New York. We got Aaron Rodgers facing his most recent team he played for, and we got Justin Fields facing his most recent team he played for. I think in this game, it's going to be who can grasp and get the offense rolling first, which I believe is going to be Aaron Rodgers. I understand Rodgers for a good bit of last year was kind of a shell of his former self, but I believe in him more than Justin Fields, even though Justin Fields right now has better potential. I just the Jets are a tire fire with how they're running the organization right now. Plus, they got DK Metcalf in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin has yet to have a losing season. I don't know if this year is the first year they're going to have one. The defense for the Steelers, I think, is going to be better than the Jets' defense for sure. And outside of Brees Hall, who's been kind of in the last year or two, and Garrett Wilson, who I think is still phenomenal. The Jets don't really have a lot going for them offensively. Justin Fields maybe in the run game can help move the chains a little bit, but I don't think he's helping them win the game, especially against that front. So I'm taking Pittsburgh in that one, 27-10. I think they're going to kind of cruise through that one. We got the New York Football Giants going to Landover, Maryland to play the Washington Commanders. I'm expecting a big jump from Jane Daniels year two with Cliff Kingsbury still. A lot of the offensive pieces are back. It was kind of questionable if Terry McLaurin was going to resign, if he was still going to be on the team. They got the deal done, which is good. That was his top target last year. You got to keep him around. I mean, that's what helped run the wheels of the offense. But now, you go out and trade for Deebo Samuel for, I think, a 5th-round pick. It wasn't for much. So, if you get any type of production out of him, maybe get a little end-around, running back options, he can be serviceable. He can be serviceable. The offensive line is still a question, for sure. The defense, I don't know if last year was lightning in a bottle. They are starting to get older. But it is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn coaches great defenses. Maybe they can still keep them competitive. I think Jaden Daniels is going to keep them in a lot of games with that offense. For the Giants, just a lot of question marks. I think they have a really good defensive line with Thibodeau, Burns, Dexter Lawrence. You just drafted Abdul Carter. There's a little questions I have on the second level at linebacker and at your DB spot. I got question marks. I got a lot of questions on offense outside of Malik Neighbors. I got a lot of questions. I don't know what this offensive line is going to look like. I don't know what Russell Wilson's going to do. I honestly thought there was a chance Jackson Dart wins the starting job. I thought he looked pretty good in preseason. I like brings a little swag to him, brings a little life to the team. If Wilson gets off to an ugly start in the season, I think they're going to go Dart quick. But maybe Russ can ride the ship and help make them competitive. I think this is Russell Wilson's last chance, so I think he's going to take it very, very seriously. So, with all this being said, I'm still taking the Commanders 24-10. I mean, they could blow them out, but I mean, it is still first game. You got to work through rust. Terry McLaurin didn't hardly practice or play in any of the preseason with Jaden Daniels, so it might take him a little bit to get that connection going. But if they're able to run the ball, control the clock, get a couple big passes completed, they're going to win the game, no problem. We got the Bengals playing the Browns. Joe Flacco starting for the Browns versus Joe Burrow. We got the battle of Joes. Who's the better Joe? Joe Burrow's the better Joe, but Joe Burrow has been known to start seasons slow. He's also known to not playing great against the Browns for some reason. Which is, I mean, I understand the Browns have had a good defense, but since Burrow's been in the league, Browns have only been good 1, maybe 2 years since Joe Burrow's been drafted. So I think if you're Bengals, you gotta go out and win this game. I mean, there's no reason Joe Flacco and that offense should really be competing with you. I am worried about the Bengals defense, even though that Browns offense isn't great. I am worried, are the Bengals defense really going to get stops like that? We're going to have to wait and see. But outside of Myles Garrett, they got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, a couple other really good guys. But if the Bengals can be more consistent than the Browns, which I believe they will, between Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, and Joe Burrow, they should be. So I'm taking the Bengals in this one. Also, another kind of ugly game. It'll be a 2010 Bengals win. But at this time of the year, a win's a win. You just got to get the ball rolling somehow. Better start. It would be a better start than what the Bengals had last year. And if they can do that, they got a chance to make the playoffs. You got one of the top 4 best quarterbacks in the league. He's going to get you there if you just put the ball in his hands. We have an NFC South matchup, early NFC South matchup, between two teams that were fighting for the division last year. You got the Bucks going to Atlanta to play the Falcons. I think Baker is ready to come out here and torch the NFC South again. Baker has been phenomenal since he's gotten to Tampa Bay. The only thing I question on that offense is how healthy is Mike Evans and Chris Godwin going to be. They've been kind of banged up the last couple years. I think that's why they keep drafting these young guys. You got McMillan, who has shown flashes. He can be good. I'm interested to see what happens with playtime. And then they just drafted Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Ibuka, who has also looked really good. So they're at a point where they're suffering with a lot of really good talent on offense. So even if Godwin were to go down, they got solid people right behind them, ready to roll. They're going to be able to run the ball. Bucky Irvin had a really good year as a rookie last year. Kind of surprising, but I think that offense is going to be fine. The defense, even though they've always been one of the better defenses the last couple of years, is starting to get older, especially at the linebacker spot. And then the secondary at times can be a little suspect, but I do think overall better defense than the Falcons, even though the Falcons just went and drafted 2 pass rushers in the first round. Traded back up in the second round to get one that maybe could have fell in the top of the second. But that's besides the point. I want to know what Michael Penix is going to do, because at times he showed flashes last year. At times he didn't. I do think this offense is going to be able to put up points. Between Drake London, Darnell Mooney, maybe Kyle Pitts, maybe. You still got Bijan Robinson. You still got Tyler Algier. You got a very serviceable to above average offensive line that can keep Penix upright. And if he's upright, I mean, he throws a really beautiful ball for a left-handed quarterback, I will say. His accuracy is pretty good, decent arm talent. I'm wondering if the Falcons are able to take the necessary steps to improve defensively, especially under Raheem Morris, who is a defensive-minded coach. This team could be really good. They could be really good. They got the potential. But week 1, we don't know what either team's really going to throw at each other. We got a new offensive coordinator on, I believe, both sides. Both new offensive coordinators from both teams. So it's going to be interesting filling out in the first half. I am still going to take the Bucks just because they have a little more continuity and have showed me more success on both sides of the ball than the Falcons have. I'm taking them 31-17. But it wouldn't shock me if it was only a one-score game. It really wouldn't. I mean, Bucks did get swept by the Falcons last year. Granted, that was Kirk Cousins that they played against last year, who was still on the team. I am surprised Kirk Cousins is still on his team. I figured there would be a team in the league that would trade for him, and there still might be. If somebody's starting quarterback gets hurt early, somebody might throw a fifth round pick at him just to take Kirk Cousins. Atlanta might have to eat a lot of that contract, but you know it's gonna be interesting. Next matchup we got another. There's a lot of divisional matchups going on this weekend, and honestly, I'm here for it because I think it makes great television, especially week one. We're trying to get views up, ratings. We got San Francisco 49ers playing the Seahawks. Sam Darnold, first time outside of the Vikings. Can he be consistent? Can he live up to the contract they just paid him? They paid him quite a bit. And to help him, though, they do have Jackson Smith, Nick Jigba, and they got Cooper Cup along with Kenneth Walker. And I think they're giving him a pretty good defense to back him up. So not all the pressure is going to be on him immediately, but he is going to still have to make some plays and get rolling through. A lot more of my questions for this game is on San Francisco's side. Can Christian McCaffrey stay healthy? He's already being listed as questionable with, I believe, a calf injury right now. Season hasn't even started yet. So that's going to hurt them for sure because it kind of hurt them last year because they couldn't really do a whole lot running the ball. I mean, Jordan Mason was good, but couldn't really get it rolling to help open up pass game. And it kind of hurt Purdy stock a lot. They still paid him, but it hurt his stock a lot. And I don't know if Pearsall and Jawan Jennings are the answer. You still got George Kittle, who's a really good receiving tight end, but they're not always asking him to be the receiving tight end. I don't know how well it would work if he is the number one tight end option. But he does help open up pass game. And I think if Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall can get into a groove, they can be very serviceable and help the offense. It's still Kyle Shanahan. That defense took a big hit in the offseason. A lot of guys left. You're replacing your starting safety, one of your starting linebackers, your starting D tackle. Your corners were banged up last year and weren't really great. So now, just look going roster to roster. Who's got the better roster? I'm going with Seattle Seahawks 28-24. It'll be a close game. That'll be a good game to watch too. Next, we got Titans in Denver playing the Broncos. We got first start for the number one pick, Cam Ward, going into Denver. I do think this is a tough first game for him, just because of the talent difference yet again. I mean, there's a reason why Tennessee had the number one pick. They don't really got a whole lot going for them on offense. I mean, they got Calvin Ridley, they got Tyler Lockett, they got Tajee Spears, solid-ish running back. I'm worried about their offensive line. The defense, I'm definitely worried about. Outside of Jeffrey Simmons, what do they really got going for them? Not a whole lot. And I don't know if Cam Ward's going to be able to elevate this offense enough to be in a lot of games. He might be, but this is his first game of the season. I'm not going to expect the world out of him. I think if he can be consistent, get the ball out on time, and protect the ball, they'll be just fine. But we got year two of Bo Nix with Sean Payton, which Bo Nix turned it up towards the end of the season last year. I like what they got going on over there. They also had a top defense last year while paying the least amount of money, even though they just paid Bonito recently. But offensively, they still got it going. I think they're going to be able to do a lot of things against that Tennessee defense. I just think Denver's going to have their way early and often on downs. Bo Nix is going to come out. I think he'll be blazing, ready to roll. I got the Broncos 35-14. I think it'll be kind of an ugly game, and it might get ugly quick. Another divisional matchup, we got the Detroit Lions playing the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be Detroit's first regular season game without Ben Johnson calling plays for the first time in 2 or 3 years. So I'm interested to see how the play calling is going to affect productivity out of that roster, because offensively, that's probably one of the best personnels you got. I mean, Jared Goff is a very efficient quarterback. You got 2 really good running backs in David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Monroe St. Brown. You got Jamison Williams. You got Sam Laporta. And you got one of the best offensive lines in the league. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. I still think they're going to put up points. I think they're still going to be very effective. But I will say there probably will still be a slight step back for sure, just because of play calling. But the personnel's still there, so it should still be efficient. And I think once that play caller gets into a rhythm of knowing what works, what doesn't work based on personnel, they'll be all right. But it's a tough game to have week one. Divisional matchup, these games are always close, especially with Packers' new defensive end, Micah Parsons. Just traded for him from the Cowboys. He might play. I think he's being listed as questionable now with a back thing, but I think he will play. Could it be limited snaps? Could it be the whole game? I do not know. But with him, Rashawn Gary, the secondary is still a little suspect outside of the safety spot. It's going to be interesting. Can Jordan Love be consistent? I mean, you go and draft Matthew Golden first round, hopefully to be your wide receiver one. You got Tucker Kraft playing tight end. They got pieces that work, and I really just do like Matt LaFleur. He runs a similar scheme, just like Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. They run the ball well. Josh Jacobs had a really good year last year. I expect that to continue to happen. I think it's going to be a matter of, can Jordan Love be consistent? Can he not turn the ball over? And can he stay healthy? He was a little banged up last year several times, so it is going to be interesting what happens. But in this matchup, I'm going to have a close game, but I'm still taking Detroit 24-21 in Green Bay. And then we got um, a game I think could be a trap game for the Rams fans. You get Texans coming into Los Angeles to play the Rams. So year 3 was Stroud. He had a rough year last year after having a great rookie year. I think this is a year he's going to bounce back from a sophomore slump with this talented roster. I mean, Joe Mixon's going to miss the first couple games, but you got Nick Chubb to be his backup. You still got Nico Collins. You got Dalton Schultz still playing tight end. The offensive line I am worried about. They have lost some pieces on that offensive line, but I do like a lot of things they got going on there. Defensively, I mean, they could arguably be a top 10, possibly top 5 defense. The talent they have over there is insane. Arguably the best cornerback in the league. Arguably one of the top young edge rushers in the league, opposite of Daniil Hunter. That roster is really good in a really bad division. So I think they could run away with the division again. I like their team. I am worried about the Rams in terms of Stafford hadn't practiced a whole lot. A lot of their offensive line hasn't started practice a lot, especially the left tackle, which is important, especially for an aging quarterback who already has back issues. He's already dealing with a back issue. So I am worried, how many hits is Stafford going to be able to take at this age? I think they're going to get off to a rough start. But to help them, they do have a solid running game. They still got Sean McVay calling plays. I mean, that's an offensive mastermind. And they also have an elite defense. They got Verse and Brissy, both Florida State boys. They're just phenomenal. They got one of the youngest defenses, and they were phenomenal last year. I expect them to build off of that and continue to be better. But I think the offense is what's going to hold them back in this game. Week 1, I'm taking Texans 21-13. I just think it might be an ugly battle between the two. And then Sunday Night Football. We get a great matchup for Sunday Night Football. I'm excited for this game. We got the Baltimore Ravens going to Buffalo to play the Bills. We get the AFC divisional rematch, which was a phenomenal game last year. Came down to a 2-point conversion attempt that failed. It was dropped by Mark Andrews. But you couldn't write it any better. I wonder if Allen and James Cook, Josh Allen, James Cook, are ready to take on this Ravens defense yet again. I mean, the Ravens defense, they hang their hat on defense and running the ball, and they're elite at both. It's going to be interesting to see how quick of a start James Cook and Josh Allen can get off to this. But if they're not able to run the ball, I don't know how to feel about their pass game. They got Keon Coleman, rookie last year. He's coming into his second year. Big, lengthy receiver. I would think he's only going to get better, especially playing with Josh Allen. They got Shakir, who can kind of be their gadget guy, get open in small windows. They got two really good tight ends between Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. So they got decent pass catchers. They got a decent offensive line. I think what's going to hold them back is going to be their defense. I think since Josh Allen has come into the league, this is probably going to be the worst defense he's played against or played with. So I worry that that might hold him back in games and make them feel like they got to throw the ball and keep putting points, and that's going to put them in turnover-prone situations. So, with that being said, rolling over to the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, who easily could have won MVP last year, with Derrick Henry, who easily could have won Offensive Player of the Year last year. I mean, you got two really talented offense players just in your backfield. You got very good weapons on the outside. You got Zay Flowers. You got DeAndre Hopkins, who's kind of a shell of himself, but can still probably be a chain mover. You got two really good tight ends as well between Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And I mean, they're deep at running back. They got Derrick Henry. They still got Justice Hill, who's managing to still get playing time. And Keon Mitchell, former ECU legend, who is just a burner, has top end speed. So I'm excited to see these two offenses go at it. I'm excited to see what these two defenses look like. But in this matchup, I do think the Ravens get their get back from the AFC Championship, or not AFC Championship, AFC Divisional. I got them winning 35-28 in just a thriller of a game. And then we're moving to Monday night, which is going to be an interesting Monday night because we got the Vikings playing the Bears. We got J.J. McCarthy's first career start. I don't know what to expect out of him. He's shown flashes both last preseason when he played and this preseason. Um, the main question is going to be, can he get the ball out quick to Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson? Can he get the ball out quick? How well is their run game going to be to help build confidence, take some pressure off of him? Because they don't have Jordan Addison for the first couple games because he's suspended for PEDs, taking PEDs. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect them. That defense is still going to be good. They're still being coached by Brian Flores. That defense is going to be top end and probably only get better as the season goes on as long as they're healthy. On the opposite side, lots of question marks. I feel like this year's where we got to find out, is Caleb Williams really that guy? Just in terms of, I mean, last year at times he looked rough and he looked good. He was very up and down. He would make some throws where you're like, wow, and then he'd make some decisions like, what are we doing? You're a former number one overall pick. We have to play better. So I'm interested to see how he's going to look with his team. Again, they've given him weapons. He's still got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. He still has DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, who they spent a first round pick on as well. They just spent, I can't remember if Copeland was a first rounder or late or early second, but they got Copeland, who I think is going to play their. He's a tight end, but I think he's going to play a big body slot, just so they can have him and Cole Kmet on the field, along with DJ Moore and Odunze, who can kind of space the field more. And they got Ben Johnson calling plays. And if anybody's been watching Detroit over the last couple of years, Ben Johnson is a phenomenal play caller. I just feel like he is a offensive guru. And they have a really good defense. But there's a lot new on both sides. I think this could be a weird game. Could be an ugly game. I do have the Vikings winning this 20-14. I think in terms of head coaches, I trust Kevin O'Connell more than Ben Johnson, just because Ben Johnson we've never seen be a head coach. Kevin O'Connell's been doing this for a couple years and has produced some really good offenses out of some somewhat questionable quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins was a good quarterback, but he was making Kirk Cousins look like an MVP. He was making Sam Darnold look like an MVP last year, so we're going to see what he can do with J.J. McCarthy and the boys, but I think week one is going to be a ugly game. 2014 Vikings. That's all I got for NFL. I'm going to go over a couple games in college, even though there's not really a lot of great college games this weekend. I mean, you got some of the big dogs playing small schools like Texas. Maybe Arch Manning has a good bounce back. I think they need him to have a bounce back and get back into a rhythm, especially after what just happened against Ohio State. If you want to have any chance to still be a dominant top end SEC team, the defense is still going to be good. The offense has to get it together. Um, One of the two big games I really want to talk about. Number 11 Illinois is coming to Durham, play Duke. Um, I honestly think, and I know I'm a Duke fan, slight bias. I really do think there's a chance of a potential upset here. I don't think Illinois is as good this year as they were last year. They did lose some talent on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. They're replacing a lot of guys. I understand they're still a quote unquote powerhouse based off of how they looked last year and where we're ranking them this year. But let's not forget, Duke, they weren't really bums last year. Offensively, maybe. Defensively, they weren't. They went blow for blow with a Miami team that had Cam Ward. I mean, it came down to the fourth quarter of that game, and Cam Ward just outplayed Malik Murphy, which nobody's shocked. And SMU. SMU was, I think, the game that got Malik Murphy canned out of Durham because your defense forces 6 turnovers and you can't win the game. I understand Duke had a chance to kick a field goal to win the game in regulation and it got blocked, but if you force 6 turnovers, it shouldn't be a tie game. You should be up several scores, at least two. So I think this game's going to determine, how good both teams are. I think Duke can put on a good show, maybe prove that hey, they deserve to be a top 25 team. They have a chance to throw their hat into the ring in the ACC, which get an ACC championship might be able to give you a playoff spot. And if Duke can give them a good punch in the mouth, if Illinois is able to respond, it might show them that they are ready to compete, get into the playoff, and maybe have a chance in a first round matchup, depending on who they play, where they have to go. Maybe they even get to host it. Who knows? Who knows? That's months down the road. But I have a gut feeling. I think Darren Mensa is the real deal. He just threw for 390 yards, 4 touchdowns last week. They ran the ball well. That defense, I think it's going to be better than what they were last week. They played great in the second half. I do have the Duke Blue Devils in an upset here. I have them 38-35. I think there's a chance they can go down, kick a field goal, and win the game. Or they might get blown out by 20. It's going to be one of the two. But I do believe there's a chance of a Blue Devil upset in Durham, which would be big for the program. Big for the program. And then the only real big game of the weekend is number 15 Michigan is going to Oklahoma, going to Norman, play number 18 Oklahoma Sooners. And I think this is going to be not make or break, but it's going to be early, real feel, real deal for these two teams because both are new starting quarterbacks. One is the number one quarterback from last year's recruiting class in Bryce Underwood. We're going to see what he can do against a Brent Venables defense. He always puts out a great defense. So I think they're going to play their asses off against him. Oklahoma, I'm interested to see what this John Mateer guy is going to do. He had a good game last week. I'm interested to see what he's going to do against a really good Michigan defense as well. So I think just overall, this is going to be a big game for both sides of the ball. I do think it's ultimately going to come down to who can run the ball better and just be more consistent on third downs, setting up good third downs, just moving the chains, which I would probably lean more towards Michigan just because they've always been known for having great offensive line, great defensive line, and just kind of wearing you down. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I do think it's going to be a battle of defenses. I got Michigan coming out of this one 24-16. I think it's going to be a low scoring, and I think it's going to be an interesting week in college football. The only other game that I think is really worth talking about is Iowa State. And for that, it's just because it's a battle of the Iowas. I don't know how much offense is really going to be in those because both of those teams like to hang their hat on defense. They have for years. Iowa's ranked 16th. Iowa State is ranked 16th. Iowa isn't ranked. I think they'll go blow for blow on defense for sure. But That game's going to be interesting. I can see that going either way, but I'm probably leaning a little more Iowa State in like a 20-13 bit. So those are my games for the week. Those are all my picks. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know who you're repping this weekend. Um, and yeah, so let's have a good weekend. Getting picks. We'll be back Tuesday, talking all things ball. And that is it for your Fumble Podcast episode for the week. Cheers.